see if any dogs join me for this mess. Hello? Hello? Do you wanna come and be my friend? Oh, big stretch first. That's right. You wanna pull a muscle being friends. Oh, here comes the big one. Hello. Hello, friends. We are friends. We don't bite our friends, though. Can we not bite? Let's take this off of you. Ow! That hurt. Naked. Winnie's naked. Naked! Sometimes you just gotta run away while screaming naked. Highly, highly recommend. All right. If my glasses are, I don't know if I already said this, if my glasses are crooked, there's nothing I can do about it. I have a feeling that these glasses are bent in some way, but just enough. Like, just enough that they feel off. But I can't figure out if it's like one side is bent in, one side is, I don't know what's happening. But I look like a wizard when I wear them, so I wanted to wear them. Get yourself situated on the air conditioning vent. Oh, perfect. I love that for you. Hi kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. Winnie's over there, cheese is right here. I am almost 100% positive you can't see either one of them right now, but just take my word for it. They're here. They're my besties. They're my ride or dies. And they're like, let's all sit together on the dog bed. I thought we would get together today to make a spring TBR. I'm feeling the need to create a TBR, but I'm going to put a big asterisk by this. I am the moodiest of the mood readers, and so having a TBR and sticking to it is just not something that is ever really going to happen. I like having a TBR because it helps me narrow down my choices because I have a lot of books to read and also subscribe to Kindle Unlimited and also get a lot of books from the library. Just the choices are endless. Sometimes I get the decision paralysis, and even though don't, ma'am. That is the cutest little dog I have ever seen, and you're gonna growl at it? I mean, I'm glad your tail is wagging. Is this a happy growl? Is this a growl of encouragement? Whatever is happening right here is nice. I saw the dogs. I did. Can you lay down? That was like in my mouth, Winnie. Winnie, there's literally a dog bed right there too. So Winnie's gonna go in the sidecar dog bed. Now, okay, what the heck was I talking about? Oh, I am a moody mood reader, but having a set list of books to choose from when moody mood reading helps me with the decision paralysis. I've decided to set myself a seasonal TBR. I do this sometimes, and we have decided the season is spring, and we shall set the TBR for the spring times. And for the spring times, I'm feeling the fantasy romance. I am coming into my fantasy romance era. I love fantasy. I love romance. I love fantasy romance. So let's talk about some books that I'm hoping to get to this springtime. The first book that is on my list is currently on Kindle Unlimited, and that is the Serpent and the Wings of Night, and this is by Carissa Broadbent. I actually have 2 books by this author. I have never read anything from this author, but for some reason, they're just on my radar hard right now. This book, all I know about it is that we have a human who has been raised by vampires and has entered into some sort of competition/tournament, competing against other vampire, I'm assuming like houses or courts or families of influence. They have entered into this competition. They are a human competing against vampires, and in order to get a leg up, they decide to, I bet you can't even hear it, but Winnie has got like a toy that's got like a crinkly noise inside of it, and she's just doing this with her teeth on it. I love you. Go ahead. No, live your best life. Our main character has decided to make an alliance with the scariest, broodiest, most likely to win vampire that they are in the tournament with. And it's a fantasy romance series. I think the second book is either just come out or is about to come out. I don't know. I have seen this book everywhere. Vampires, tournaments, fantasy romance. Boom. I'm into it. The second book by the same author that is also on this list is Daughter of No Worlds, I believe is what it's called. What is the name of the series? The name of the series is The War of Lost Hearts. This is also by Carissa Broadbent. This is also available on Kindle Unlimited, or was the last time I looked. So hopefully it's still there, because if it's not, I might be a little sad. The synopsis for this one says, a former slave fighting for justice. Just this is the worst possible toy for you guys to be playing right here. If you can hear them, I apologize. And let's keep going. A former slave fighting for justice, a reclusive warrior who no longer believes it exists, and a dark magic that will entangle their fates. Basically, our main character is taken from their homeland as a child and now as an adult, wants to train to be some sort of magical warrior, and ends up training with someone who is reluctant to train them, and romance. Fantasy, romance, and warriors. Basically, these first two books are fantasy, romances, and warriors. Which is great. I love a fantasy, romance, warrior situation, you know? I mean, let's just be honest. I just love books. So that's all it really takes. The next book on my TBR, and I've already downloaded this one on my Kindle, and will probably, hopefully, be picking it up soon, is Magpies and Mayhem, and this is by Elsie Winters. This is the second full-length novel in this series. I actually recently finished the first novel in this series, which is Leviathan Song. These are urban fantasy romances. It's really hard to describe. There's a really cool aspect of world building in this. If you liked the world building in like Crescent City, where it's a more modern town with lots of magical elements. I believe the story actually takes place in Seattle, but there are these like portals to other magical places that these magical beings can go to. Our first one, Leviathan Song, is a romance between a half-elf, half-human, and a siren man. He's not really a mermaid. He's like a siren, mermaid-ish. This second book is following two characters that we are introduced to in the first book, one being a magpie shifter that is the best friend of our half-elf, half-human from the first book. She's a lot of fun. She's quick to fight and has a good heart. And she has just been reintroduced to her childhood crush, her older brother's best friend, who sometime between the last time she saw him when she was a gangly teenage kid to now, he has been turned into a vampire, and he's not too happy about it. They're just literally wrestling on top of my legs right now. I'm glad we could all be a part of this. I really enjoyed the first book, and I'm excited to keep going on with this series. The third book in the series I don't believe is out, but the title of that book, which I am about to read to you right now because it is a fantastic title. It is Seduction of a Pyschopomp, Erogenous Handholding, and Other Ways to Tempt Your Reaper. That's just fantastic. Let's be honest. That's just whatever erogenous handholding is. Also, one of the dogs just farted. Things are going great right now. Just sitting down, trying to record a little TBR. Dogs are farting. We're doing great. The next book that I want to pick up after that one is also a sequel in a series that I've already started, and that is going to be Glint by Raven Kennedy. The first book in this series is Guild, which is basic setup for the entire series. It should be considered a prequel, but it's not. It's considered book one in the series. In Guild, we meet our main character who has been gold touched by King Midas, and she has been kept in a gold cage in his castle since she was about 15 years old. She has been groomed into believing that she is better off and even safe living her best life in this cage under the watchful eye of her emotionally manipulative. Say that 10 times fast. Emotionally manipulative. It would help if I could say it once. King Midas. The first book was a lot of fun, but I am looking forward to the next book because I think that's where the story is really going to start and pick up. Our character has now gone through some stuff, is getting some distance from their mindset, and I think we're about to meet some new characters. I'm into it. The next book that I am extremely excited about, and I might have been a huge nerd and literally put an alert on my calendar for when this is going to become available on Kindle Unlimited. And that book is That Time I Drugged a Dragon. This is from the Mead Mishap series by Miss Kimberly Lemming, who is one of my favorite fantasy romance authors. The first book in this series is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. The second book in the series is That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. And we now have our third installment coming out here soon where, somebody accidentally drugged a dragon. These are super fun and funny adventure fantasy romances. In our first book, we have Cinnamon. She is a cinnamon farmer. And one day after attending a festival in town, she stumbles home a little bit intoxicated and happens upon someone who needs help. When she goes to help this person, she accidentally saves a demon. Adventure ensues. The second book in the series is Cinnamon's best friend, whose name is Bree, and she's a cheesemaker. And Bree accidentally yeets a love potion at a werewolf. She is being pursued by this creepy guy during a festival. He tries to dose her with a love potion, and instead of taking it, she tries to throw it at the guy who tried to give it to her. He ducks just in time, and the love potion hits a werewolf square in the face. So then he thinks that him and Bree, I believe his name was Felix, are just meant to be, and she is having to convince him that it is just the effects of the love potion. Again, hilarious. There are also some novellas in this series that are super fun. My favorite character in the entire series is a sentient sword who is completely inappropriate all the time. Her name is Alexis. She's fantastic. It is such a fun series. If you're looking for something just like fun and funny, it's not cozy. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, like trying to put it on cozy fantasy romance lists. I would not call this cozy. There are big adventures happening in this, and it doesn't have like small scale vibes. I mean, some of them are a little more insular, but for the most part, all of these characters are going on adventures together. This is more of like low stakes adventures, is what I'll say. I have a great time with this series, and I am so excited for this next installment. We have been introduced to our dragon in previous books, and I'm ready to get his romance. Next two books that I have on this list are the only two non-fantasy romances. These are just straight up contemporary romances, but it's spring. Love is in the air. I thought I'd add some contemporary romances to the list. The first one on the list is Do I Know You? And this is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegemund-Broka. These two authors also wrote the book together, The Roughest Draft, which I have not read, but I've heard a really good buzz about that book. Do I Know You caught my interest because I'm going to call this a second chance romance, but I don't really know if that's what it is. It's this married couple I believe their marriage is in trouble, on the rocks, or maybe almost over, and they go on one last vacation together where they decide to pretend that they've just met. And I think it's through some accidental circumstances that everyone around them thinks that they just met. And so they have to keep up this ruse. And so in pretending that they don't know each other, they get to know each other once again and fall kind of back in love while on vacation. I love this premise. I think this is going to be adorable, and I'm absolutely excited to read this. Sounds flippin' lovely. And the last one on the list is Funny Feeling, and that is by Tarah Dewit. This is the story of a stand-up comedian, and I believe You're going to bring that really nice and close to me? We're going to have a squeaker just real loud. Just real loud. In Funny Feeling, we are following a stand-up comedian who has to fake date her manager. Now, her manager also used to be a stand-up comedian. I believe he has a young daughter or something like that as well. So he's a single dad. But he and his client, the stand-up comedian, need to stir up some publicity for her career. And so they decide to fake date, which is very, very hard for our female stand-up comedian because she is secretly in love with him, or I don't even know if she's secretly in love with him, but like loves him and that he's an important part of her life. So is his daughter. This is just a little too, what's the word? Serious? But no, what would be the word? high stakes. It's a little too high stakes. If things go wrong, it could really, really screw up the wonderful relationship and the important relationship she has with her manager and also his child. But these two, I'm sure, fake date and then, real feelings show up because that's how fake dating works. I love a fake dating trope. Any way you can introduce that, I'm into it. But those two sounded very fun, funny, cute, lighthearted springtime TBR ads. But that, kids, is going to be the end of this TBR. Let's see if I stick to any of these. Wish me luck. I hope I do. Also, if you have just heard them losing their minds around me this entire time, I apologize. The bird is also screaming. But I think at some point when you live with it, you just tune it out. You don't even hear it anymore. What do you even... Well, kids, that's the end of this pizza party. I hope you're reading good stuff out there wherever you are. And I'll see you next time.